Impact podcast. Folks, we have a very special guest today. This is Michael O'Keefe. He is the president of a very innovative company, Pack Midwest. Michael, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick.
Absolutely. So, Michael, one thing that we drive home on this podcast is nuggets of manufacturing wisdom. And in my 20-some years, I have intersected with very few people such as yourself that I believe are extremely creative, out of the box, innovative, flexible, solutions oriented. You get involved in things that the client doesn't even ask you to get involved in sometimes. Uh, we'll get into Pack Midwest in a minute, but kind of tell us about your background.
I've been in the packaging industry for just over 30 years. I've worked from being at a distributor level, broker level, manufacturer of many different products. So with that time, I've been able to visit over 1,000 different manufacturing plants of all different types of consumer products and food products. So it's it's given me a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and which brings me to what I'm doing today.
Okay, great. So you've got the background in it. You've been in manufacturing 1,000+ places, and I believe that.
Yeah.
Um, what does Pack Midwest offer somebody, and how do you guys stand apart?
You know, what I've seen in the past in my 30 years experience, being on both ends, whether it's procurement, sales, manufacturing, um, there's been this very adversarial relationship between a supplier and their customer, and it just doesn't work. I mean, your supply chain is just as important to your business's success as your customers are, right?
Mhm.
So what we've done is we've become more of a business advocate for our clients and said, we know how the manufacturers work. We know how your manufacturing works. We know how procurement works. Let's all get that together. Win-win for everybody, obviously. And now you have a honest um, and loyal supply chain. And the supply chain could say the same thing about their clients. And so in doing and creating that relationship, our clients usually more than likely get bumped up in a schedule if they need something really fast. On-time deliveries, the integrity of the product is always at its highest quality. The reason is because we've established those relationships with our supply chain, and and our customers, we understand what they need to run their successful business as well.
Okay, great. So you guys are kind of a one-stop shop, if you will.
Absolutely.
Um, if I'm a manufacturer and I'm struggling with aspects of my supply chain, um, where would I typically use you? Like for everything or pieces of it?
Or, well, first, companies would bring us in, say, okay, so what is the problem? Where is the hiccup? Where's the obstacle? We'll look at everything from A to Z. We'll look at from how you're ordering, look at who your vendors are, and we know a lot of the vendors out there, and we know which ones lack service and quality, and then we'll go out and try to tie everything in. One thing we see a lot is, all right, our boxes showed up, but our bags did not. So now
Mhm.
our production is delayed. Well, how we handle it, we take care of everything. So they'll receive their boxes, their bags, their tape, their stretch film, their pallets all at one time. We know exactly what their production is for the week, supply all that in there. It's all on time. Makes
Nice.
a difference.
Right. Now, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I'm going to share some of the concepts that I've seen you guys employ.
Yeah.
And I would imagine it's very volume based, but to the listeners, you mentioned the hiccups in the supply chain. Don't you guys offer sometimes, if the scenario is correct, to actually house some of that supply chain for a client and make sort of milk runs, if you will?
Yes, yeah, we do. Um, we look at ourselves as a third party for our clients. And we see a lot of success in that. We believe it's a very strong position for us and for our client to have a third party. At the same time, we look at some distributors as third parties. So we
Mhm.
have warehousing, throughout the country that we've contracted with. And so basically, we trust our system, and we expand that through our supply chain. So we will warehouse throughout the country wherever it makes more sense with our distributor and warehouse partners.
Okay. Now I'm going to play devil's advocate. I
Yeah.
know the answer to this. If an interested client is hearing this, they might be thinking, that sounds really complex. Do I have to manage what he should be providing for us? How does that management piece look?
Yeah, we like to get in there. We roll up our sleeves. We manage everything. We look at how they've been ordering. We like to connect right to their ERP systems. We get their production schedules. Their MRPs are transferred over to us every morning of most of our clients. So we see exactly what they're doing, what they need. We look at their inventories. We look at the lead times at the manufacturers. We look at what's on our warehouse floor, their warehouse floor, and we'll manage it from A to Z. They don't have to do anything. Um, they just have to be open with their books with us
Right.
because we're there to help them. And majority of our clients, um, well, all of our clients that we handle 100% of their packaging have seen significant improvements in efficiencies. Our fill rate is always 98% above, and we in in doing so, our clients' um, fill rate to their customers are 90 plus as well.
Yeah, I think that impressed me the most when I met you, I think back in 2015. It's been a while. Was the fact that you managed the whole thing A through Z. And if a client, desires to manage a segment, they still can. I mean, you're flexible, but what kind of ROI does a client see with this type of arrangement?
Well, they there's no cost to them. Really what it is.
Right.
So my company comes in, we look at their needs and what they need and how they need it, how their plant is running, how their sales force, their marketing, their procurement, is everyone talking to each other, right? So we
Hmm.
look at that and we say, all right, so sometimes you know sometimes they could reduce the amount of people in procurement or operations by having us join their team. As far as money out, we actually get paid from deals that we make with the manufacturers. And so, this how we look at it is there's always a salesperson involved
Hmm.
at a manufacturer. Well, that salesperson needs to get paid. Well, we eliminate that salesperson being involved since we have the knowledge of our not only our client but of the industry of the materials, and so we go to our manufacturers and eliminate that sales position, you contact point, and
Right.
that's how we get paid. So,
Sure.
then that's already established in our client's price. They never pay more;
Hmm.
they always pay less.
Right.
Once we get in there, we'll say, okay, we'll match the prices you have right now.
Yep.
And as we grow, we're going to continue to save you money on efficiencies, on maybe changing materials, changing vendors, and reducing your overall costs. And when we say overall cost, Patrick, we're talking everything from delivery of products in their facility. So as soon as they touch it,
Sure.
they're unloading one truck at a time, mixed of all these different products instead of six different trucks lining up at their dock.
Right.
It really reduces the amount of labor and space immediately. And there's a cost to that, as you know. You look at
Yeah.
all those pennies.
Absolutely. I really like what you say about the service essentially being free. Talk about some ways, out of the box ways, creative ways that clients might be able to take on some automation that they've been thinking about getting in conjunction with your supply chain and packaging offerings.
Yeah, so when people are looking automation, as you know, I don't want to sell any automation without the person having a return on the investment. You know,
Hmm.
a lot of people, a lot of companies think they should go automated. It's usually the companies that don't think they should go automated and they're maybe scared to that should be going. Labor charges are way up. If we're able to automate a certain line or certain system at a production facility, what we find is that um, they actually, since they'll have a higher output, better efficiencies, they're able to obtain new business in their facilities. So, the thought process of, oh, we're putting in automation and we're removing people and having to fire people, it's actually changed to actually they need to hire more people for that other back end stuff. If it's
Mm.
making you're now you could pack trail mix at 3 times as the speeds that you were before.
Sure.
Well, that means you need more people making trail mix, or more
Right.
people roasting whatever for the trail mix. So it really is interesting how that automation works. As far as making it affordable for our clients, a lot of times we will uh, what's what I'm looking for, Patrick? Will advertise
Yeah.
the cost
Amortization.
of the packaging materials
Sure.
over that investment of the equipment.
Equipment.
And when we do that, sometimes, depending on what it is, we see anywhere from uh, 6 months to a year for
Wow.
ROI on that. And that's because of labor costs, and that's because of automation has really gotten pretty good. And
Good. Good. Yeah, just to give some background to the listeners on Michael O'Keefe coming into a plant for the first time and assessing a situation. Um, I've actually seen you basically tell a client you don't need that automation. You don't need the Ferrari. You need the Cadillac, and that's, I think, something important is you're not an equipment salesman. You just want to understand what their problem is. They probably would have bought the Ferrari because they wanted it. But I've actually seen you tell clients, there's a workaround, or you don't need that until, 5 years from now or whatnot, which leads into the next question. What's kind of your ideal client look like, revenue wise, and industry?
um, we're majority of our business is in the food industry. I would say maybe about 60 to 65% of that, which we understand very well.
Right.
And there's a lot of different components for the food industry, a lot of different certifications, and uh, there's a lot. It's a lot more in depth now than it ever has been with, say, SQF certifications, things like that. Tracking the origin of materials and product. Uh, so, question again? What was the question?
Yeah, just kind of revenue range for, who would
Yeah,
think to bring you on. There might be people thinking they're too small.
you know what? I would say no one's ever too small. I've been with companies that when I started with them, they're 5 million in sales,
Okay.
and now they're 85 to 120 million in sales.
Wow.
And I've been along for that whole entire ride, and even to this day, some of my clients that say are 120 million or 85 in sales, they're tapping me and saying, "Hey, Mike, what should we do now? We want to expand. What can we do? How do we tie all this stuff, other stuff in?" When I go to manufacturers, as you have seen too with your own experience, um, they're just set up room to room for wherever they got the business and how they grew. Uh, we want to basically have that seamless throughout the whole plant. And so when they do make an expansion, we do keep in mind what they currently have and how that flow works, so they don't have two different flow processes. So that's your question. I look for companies that are looking for growth, that are looking for a partner to help them grow from a supply chain side,
Mm-hmm.
and that uh, we have to have a trusting relationship, and we try to establish that trust as quickly as possible. It takes some longer for companies to do that, our clients to do that, just because of the culture. The
Sure.
culture is you're not supposed to trust anybody. I always say, well, look at your customers. How do you want to treat your customers? How do you want your customers to treat you?
Right.
So I said, then you just do the same thing with the rest of the chain,
Exactly.
right? So that's the and the biggest thing about the type of customers that we like customers that um, are financially stable
Mm-hmm.
and are able to pay for their the product that they're bringing in, able to take care of those suppliers well on time, same way that they want their customers to pay them on time. There have been many clients that have come to me and I've turned down because the state of the industry right now, you just can't take those risks. So if someone's looking for um, to establish a partnership, increase their efficiencies, solve some of their issues on their floor, be open about those issues, what they are, and be open to criticism, because that's all we do. We'll tear it apart. We find everything that's wrong with the situation,
Mm-hmm.
but we provide a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important. We're just not going to tell them what's wrong. We'll solve those processes. And a company that just wants to be successful.
Right.
That's most. It's just a partnership.
Right. Well said. I think we're doing good on time here. We'll wrap up in the next 10 or so minutes.
Yeah.
You're in Chicago.
Yep.
There's a lot of food and beverage in Chicago. What if somebody's in Minnesota listening to this and they want to possibly have a conversation? Is that outside of your area?
No, not at all. Not at all. We travel all across the country.
Okay.
I have warehouses, commitments throughout the country. I have salespeople throughout the country as well. So, and then we obviously Chicago's the hub.
Right, right. Again, another thing I like about you guys is just your urgency. I don't know how many times I've been doing an assessment for a client and they're having a snafu. You might have a full day, but you take a call and you get on the phone with the client. I can't stress enough the urgency. I think some of that is, uh, you're in proximity to all these relationships. You're dealing with everyone, but you're just urgent by nature, and I think you have gone above and beyond. What does a typical client do after an engagement? Do they go year to year, get an extension? What's that look like?
Uh, Typical client of ours will write a 3-year
Okay.
contract. So that's 3-year agreement. We do have some that go to year. We always say though, if we really want a commitment from you, if you really want to show us that you're committed, we need more than a year, because we do put a
Right.
lot of work in that first year.
Sure.
And if something dies after that first year, or they decide to go a different direction, we don't recover our the ROI is
Right.
not there. And so that second year, we basically cover. The third year, we'll make a little money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of how we want to structure it with our clients. 3 years is the sweet spot. Some throw on 5 years. Some decide they're not going to do any contract whatsoever, and then a year down the road, they're just like, all right, let's engage.
Sure.
Let's make this permanent. So so that's kind of how it goes.
Okay. Gotcha. What problems are you seeing trending right now in manufacturing, food manufacturing, and what are the solutions to that in your wheelhouse?
The largest problems we have right now is a cost, and it's not. It's is everyone is looking to improve their bottom line. And they'll think packaging and raw materials is going to be their savior if they could beat those costs down. What I'm seeing is a lot of quality issues when people do that. I mean, it's the whole thing, you get what you pay for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing a lot of stuff coming overseas, and also a lot of domestic suppliers, quality very poor. Some of the reasons for that is because they're lacking the proper labor. So when someone really tries to beat them down on price, you're saying, great, well, we'll take this, and a lot of the service aspect out of it. So that's typically what will happen in situations like how our economy is right now. What I really have seen in the past, let's say post-COVID era, is the lack of knowledge a lot of the companies' procurement departments have. They're very fresh and green people who are just entering orders. They don't know where to source. They think the internet's the place to source. It's just really not. You don't establish any relationships. They get 20 different prices and go with the lowest price on it. And then they switch to somebody else after the fact. It's very costly to these companies. They think they're saving money, and they're not. And then their inventories are high, and their production is slow because once the inventories start coming down, you start seeing the poor quality in the material, and then you're like, well, I've got 6 months of this sitting on the floor. I've been seeing a lot of that, a lot of very high mismanaged inventory based just on price and on the lack of knowledge from that procurement department. It's really disturbing.
Yeah, that's a
it's
great point. Yeah, great point. I've heard you before, ask for specs from a client, and they provide it, and you're able to actually beat the spec and beat the price,
yes.
which is phenomenal. Okay. There's one other thing I did want to share with the listeners, and then we'll kind of start to close it out. The way that you and I met, if you recall, was a little awkward. So myself, Michael, we were servicing the same client, different capacities, obviously. Mine was from more of an operational standpoint, and the CFO asked me to kind of audit you, assess your services. And I didn't know, anything about you or what you guys provided. But I recall coming out of our period, examining basically what you offered and kind of going through the fine detail. And you recall, we were at the meeting together. My report to the CFO was, don't change anything, because they're looking to bring some of it. Should we bring it back? We haven't evaluated this for a long time. Should we split it down the middle? And again, it was awkward. That's how I met you. But my takeaway was I was so impressed by the level of detail, accuracy, ROI, benefit, just all of the above that you opened the show with. That, like I said, I don't come across many with your caliber in manufacturing. So I wanted to kind of give that background.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. And I look forward to that opportunity because anytime we could really show somebody what we do, we look forward to that. I love
Yeah.
it. I love when people kind of review it and critique it, and even more if someone finds maybe even something wrong
Yeah.
and say, hey, do you ever think of this? Like, well, we'll take a look at that. Thanks. But that's one of the reasons why we really like people, reviewing it like yourself, that have a knowledge of what we're doing as well. Yeah, and that company, they, correct me if I'm wrong, they're about 70 million in sales.
Sounds right.
Yeah, so they're
Yeah.
they're a significant sized company.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay. Last question, and then we'll
Yeah.
close this out. Actually, I'll throw two in there. what would you say to somebody listening that's kind of on the fence about, what does discovery look like? What would you say to them or encourage them to do?
I'd say reach out to me, give me a call, send me an email, take 15, 20 minutes and talk through whatever they're looking for. I might say, hey, you don't need me, or you just need to do this, or let's just get more of a conversation. Let's start going into discovery. Let me open up some books for me.
Okay.
But that's what I would say. Just give me a call or contact me and talk it through. If someone has a serious issue, and what I love is when people want to solve their issues and grow their business, be successful, and not get profit by just shaving down the cat, right?
Sure. And then what's the best way to find your contact information? Your website?
My website, yep, packmidwest.com.
Okay. packmidwest.com. So that will do it for today. Michael O'Keefe, Pack
Thank you.
Midwest. It's always great catching up with you. I mean it when I say it, everyone. This guy's the real deal. Very impressed. I think it would be very beneficial to at least contemplate looking into his services, and it could be automation, it could be packaging. And if you are in Minnesota or somewhere outside of Chicago, he's a pretty flexible guy. Sometimes I know in the past you've even asked people, hey, just video on your camera, on your phone, what's going on in production, and I'll take a look and I'll give you some solutions. So thank you for your manufacturing wisdom today, Michael, and we will pick up with the next episode at a later time. That's it for today. Thanks again, Michael.
Gotcha. Appreciate it.